Hello, my name is Distro. Welcome to the second channel. In today's video, I'm going to be demonstrating my recent project, which is Windows XP running on UEFI systems. Now, a few caveats before we get on the way. First of all, this should not really be considered like a proper installation guide because this is very early in development and it's going to change pretty quickly, probably the installation process and the way that and like the support for things. It's going to change a little bit, and this also is an installation process that's really only going to work in a virtual machine. I'm going to be demonstrating how we're going to do this. So this takes advantage of a bootloader known as FreeLoader from ReactOS, which allows for booting Windows in environments that otherwise wouldn't, like the original Xbox. I mean, you can't really boot Windows that way. You can boot ReactOS that way. It boots the same way, as well as UEFI, and as we're going to demonstrate today. So let's get started. Let's create a new VM. Let's call it Windows XP UEFI. Set up our Windows XP ISO. Let's not do unattended guest installation for now. Let's give it 1 gig of RAM. 10 gig hard drive should be fine. And we're going to go ahead and finish that. And let's start up the VM. I'll show you. And let's begin the installation of Windows XP. Now, it's very quickly here that we're going to start having some differences in the installation process. So we're going to need to actually create partitions at this screen right here. So let's first do this, and let's go ahead and make a partition small enough for a small partition to be next to it. In our case, let's just do 10,200 megabytes instead of 10,229. 29 megs should be fine, or I guess 39 megs should be completely fine for this, and we don't need to format this partition quite yet. Well, we should probably create a partition here. Yeah, that sounds about right. And we're going to go ahead and install on the larger of the two partitions. Format using NTFS, and this is another departure from other methods that only support FAT32. This supports NTFS with some caveats that I will talk about both in the written guide and here, in that the NTFS drivers are quite buggy and tend to not support languages other than English. We're not entirely sure why this is happening, but the NTFS driver in FreeLoader really does not like languages that are not English. So if you're not installing an English version of Windows, I recommend using FAT32. I believe that you can use FAT32 and then later convert the partition to NTFS without causing any issues. But there are issues for whatever reason with NTFS partitions formatted this way. All right, we are now officially at the desktop at Windows XP, and here's a little quick tip. If you click on Cancel when asked about the display resolution, you can skip the OOBE and go straight to the desktop as the administrator account. You don't need to do that for any sort of UEFI stuff, but it is something that you can do. Now we're going to go ahead and swap the CD for the Windows XP UEFI disk, which you can find in the description of this video, and you can see the files that it contains. So before we do anything, we're going to go ahead and format this local disk E that we created. We're going to format this as FAT and do a quick format. This is going to be our EFI system partition. Let's just call it EFI. And now the format's complete. That was pretty fast. And now we're going to need to copy this EFI folder in here, and we're going to copy it. This has our ReactOS boot ia32.efi and this BCD that does nothing, as you'll see. And we're going to take this FreeLoader file here, and we're going to go ahead and copy it into the root of the C drive. And now we're going to need, next step is to install the graphics driver. So to do that, we're going to go to My Computer, we're going to go Properties, and we're going to go to Hardware, then Device Manager. Now we go to Video Controller VGA Compatible, and we click on Update Driver. No, install automatically, and it should automatically detect the CD here, and click on Continue Anyway. And this is expected behavior. This is supposed to say this device cannot start. It might also ask you to restart the computer. But now that we've done that, we should be good to run XP on UEFI. So let's turn off the VM here and enable UEFI. Now let's start the VM. And click on Windows XP and watch this. It'll come up in a second here. It should. In a VM, for whatever reason, the boot screen takes quite a bit of time to show up, but it does eventually do so, and there we are. We are now running Windows XP in UEFI mode. It just lagged out. That's something XP likes to do sometimes. All the normal XP weirdnesses don't exactly go away on UEFI. I mean, if we go into the settings here, we have proof that we are running in UEFI mode. We are using the generic frame buffer mini port adapter, and we cannot adjust the resolution beyond 800 by 600. And that is because of the fact that this graphics driver only runs at the resolution of the UEFI, that the UEFI firmware set up, or that a program in UEFI set up. And that is an issue with FreeLoader that hopefully will be resolved sometime soon, is that you cannot change the EFI resolution. Always sets it to the absolute minimum, which in QEMU means having the resolution set to 640 by 480, which is really far from ideal. But we are running Windows XP on UEFI. There's a few caveats. Like I said, there's NTFS driver issues. FreeLoader has some bugs that need to be ironed out in other regards too, especially the UEFI version. It's 32-bit only, but that means that some early Intel Macs, which I have gotten it running on, I got it running on a 2008 iMac or 2007 iMac. Some of those like old Intel Atom tablets that were out around 2014 or so, this should allow those to run Windows XP, as well as the Intel Compute Sticks, assuming that you can find graphics drivers for them. That's it. Hope you enjoyed this video.